soup season continues. We did cow heel or cow foot soup. Just look at that nice gelatinous. Oy, oy, oy. Remember, you can personalize this. You can add or not add flour dumplings. We did add flour dumplings, cornmeal dumplings. You can add green cooking bananas, green plantain, yam, cassava, dashi, and all those different things. But anyhow, I'm going and talking. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in most recipes, using cow heel or cow foot or whatever it is you call it, will say to use a pressure cooker. Yeah, and if you want to conserve energy and everything else, you can certainly do that. So this step that you're about to see here, I'm doing it low and slow because I dislike pressure cookers. You can put it in a pressure cooker for 30 minutes, and once it's nice and tender, then you can add the other ingredients. I will add 2 hours later. But anyways, I've got 2 pounds of cow feet, we call it cow heel, which has been cut up into nice pieces here. It's nice and clean, and I've washed it with the juice of 1 lemon and cool water, drained it. So 2.5 pounds or so. For body, I like yellow split peas. So we've got that nice yellow split peas in there, and that is something my grandma always put in her soup, so I might just follow suit. To have some more body, we've got some carrot. Next up, I wish I had pumpkin. I couldn't get pumpkin, so I have butternut squash, scallion, a large onion. I like some garlic in there as well. Some fresh thyme, a whole scotch bonnet pepper. I'm not going to break it because I want the flavor from the oils, from the skin of that. Not so much the heat, but later on, yeah, I will break it. So I kind of contradicted myself because I like it spicy. But if you don't want it spicy, you can fish it out. Try not to break it, or you're gonna run into problems. I'll hit that with salt. Later on, we will adjust the salt after we put all the sort of root vegetables in there. So now it's all about some black pepper. And to pull it all together, just plain old water. I'm gonna end up putting about 12 cups of water in there. And you notice we didn't put anything that we cannot pronounce in there, nothing with chemicals, nothing with all that stuff that's not good for us. So nothing from a pack or anything like that. It's all, you know, it's just water and fresh ingredients. I know we like that Maggi and all that stuff like that in the Caribbean. If you can avoid it, please try, because it's high in sodium and things that, yeah, we shouldn't. Yo, I ain't hating it. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to, yeah, let me do things a little differently now, please. Took about 5 minutes for me to start seeing the bubbles coming up on the side there, which means coming up to a boil. What I like doing is skimming off the top here, this sort of frothy foam business here. Just be mindful, we're not trying to get none of these scallions or anything in there. And you're just gonna toss that down the sink. Once it comes up to that boil that you're seeing here now, I'm gonna reduce it to a rolling boil. Simmer. I'm more of a simmer than a rolling boil. I'm going to put the lid on there with a space so it can breathe, and we're going to allow that to cook low and slow for about 2 hours before we proceed. It's been going now on that slow bubble there for about 1.5 hours. You notice everything is starting to fall apart. The peas have fallen apart. The pumpkin is starting to melt, give it a lovely color. I did end up adding another 4 cups of water. So 16 cups of water so far. I'm going to add eddoes to the mix now, and you can add any sort of ground provision that you like. I'll turn up my heat because we need to bring that back up to a boil. And now, speaking about ground provision, the other thing I like adding in here, and it's only because it's what I can source recently, is some sweet potato, nice big pieces. We're gonna hit that to stir just to make sure everything comes together. Remember, we're trying to bring this up to a boil now. The whole pepper, this is where you can fish it out. It's done its job, yeah? You can fish it out, but in my case, I'm gonna break it. I wanna release all that beast, that lovely Caribbean sunshine straight in there. A couple more things I like adding in here at this point. Caribbean green seasoning. And Caribbean green seasoning is just a puree or a blend, and I do, my base is oil, olive oil. The recipe is available at caribbeanpot.com of all the herbs we like using in the Caribbean. So you'll find scallion and thyme and different types of parsley and all those niceties in there, plus garlic, seasoning peppers. And from island to island the recipe will vary, but if you go to caribbeanpot.com you will find that recipe there, and you can see the soup already coming together nicely. If you wanted to put plain old potato in there, you can also do that. The other thing I like doing, I like to kick it up a bit, and if you know anything about Chef Finbar, he has what's called pepper oil, and this here, if you know, I'll tag him in the comments down below so you can find it. But this thing here, I'm telling you, boy, optional, but I like adding a teaspoon of that in there. Hit that to stir, and that gives it the complexity. Yo man, I'm telling you boys, all kind of star anise and all kind of niceness in there. It's a sort of an Asian influence spicy oil that Chef Finbar creates there, and it is without a doubt one of my favorite pepper oils on the market today. As it comes back up to a boil, it will reduce your heat, adjust the water as we go along, because I want this to cook for another hour and a half or so, because we want the cow heel, and it's starting to happen already. We want that to really get nice and tender, and this is why I said the first part there, before we added the sweet potato and eddoes and all that, if you wanted to do the first part there in your pressure cooker, you can do that. If you wanted to add yam in there, I would add the yam a little bit later. Green banana, if you wanted to add potatoes like regular Yukon Gold potato or something, you can add it in there. You are the master of ceremony, so you get to control things. It's been another hour since I added the eddoes and sweet potato in here, and this is where I like to go in with just some plain old flour dumplings that I cut up nice and small, along with the okra. Yeah, I love to have my okra in there too. Hit that a stir like so, and those are nice and thick, and oi, Uncle Chris eating like a king tonight. Anyhow, we want to cook this until those flour dumplings are nice and tender. Here is where, and the flour dumpling is just basically water, flour, a little bit of sugar and a little bit of salt. I like using sea salt. Here is where now you'll taste it for salt and adjust the salt. Keep in mind if you need to add some more water in here, because this will thicken up quite a bit more as it cools down. Yeah, let me go and see what Zaya up to. Yeah, it's been 20 minutes since I added the flour dumplings. Those are going to be like nice little pillows of niceness there. Everything is nice and cooked here to my liking. Now, depending on the age, notice how that's falling apart, that's nice and tender. The age of the cow that the feet came from, or the heel, it may take longer to cook, so keep that in mind. Remember, the other option is to use your pressure cooker. This is done to my liking. Taste it for salt, adjust your salt and stuff like that. The last thing I like doing is to go in with my chopped parsley in there, that finish of herbal note there. What's up, soldiers? Listen, if you enjoy this recipe, I'd really appreciate it if you hit subscribe and click that bell notification thing. If you've made the recipe, take a picture and send it to me. Email address down here. I mean, trying to tell people the email address, them butts will take the address and do all kind of thing with it. And tag me on Instagram at Caribbean Pot. I really appreciate you guys, and thanks for being in my kitchen with me today. Irie? Chris here, CaribbeanPot.com. Soup season continues. We did cow heel or cow foot soup. Just look at that nice gelatinous. Oi. Remember, you can personalize this. You can add or not add flour dumplings. We did add flour dumplings. Cornmeal dumplings. You can add green cooking bananas, green plantain, yam, cassava, dasheen, all those different things. But anyhow, I'm going and talking. If you want to see a certain recipe for soup season, drop a comment down below. Let me tell you the little motion now. Oh gosh, look at that.